Hello there everybody, and welcome to another video, and welcome to another review video. And today we have got something sweet to review, for we are reviewing yet another title of the Conan the Barbarian comics by Titan Comics, written by Jim Zub. And by this I have to thank Mr. Jim Zub and Titan Comics for providing me with a advanced PDF copy of this comic book so that I can review it for all of you and say whether it is worth getting or not. We are looking at Conan, Scourge of the Serpent, which is an anthology, but not your everyday, ordinary comic book anthology coming from the Western comic books. It's very special in one way, and I appreciate it very much indeed, for it is not the most original and new idea. This has been done before, and I have written stories like that myself, but I haven't encountered anything of this sort in Western comics in a long time. So what it is 3 stories in one comic book issue, but they are interconnected and intertwined. Once again, not very original, but done in a very good way. And I always say, I mean, we live in 2025. Most stories, or rather, dare I say, all stories that could have been told throughout the ages of storytelling have been told and retold many times. It matters how you tell the story, how you present it, how you craft it, and what the final result is. And fortunately, in the case of Jim Zub and his Conan stories, they always deliver. I mean, they are always presented in the way that you enjoy them. They are grasping, they are very well written. The pacing is just perfect. The narrative and the action is very nicely balanced, and the same can be said about the text and the visual aspect of the comic book, right? Because these two are intertwined, these two are inseparable when we are talking about the comic book medium. So we do look at 3 different characters in this comic book. We look at 3 different characters from different eras, from different times. And dare I say, we do look at 3 different characters that are very different from each other, but at the same time, it is as if they shared common traits, as if they shared common history. And dare I say, and it has been hinted upon, and it could be one of the theories, one of the things that people could say about that, or think that there might be something, and it is hinted upon in the comic, there might be something about reincarnation. And that's very close to my heart, because reincarnation, rebirth is something that's very much present not only in nature, but in the life philosophies and life beliefs of the ancient cultures, like the ancient Germanic peoples, the ancient Europeans, ancient pagans in general, as well as other ancient cultures from the Americas, shall we say, so on and so forth. And so we're looking at the Thurian age, we are looking at the Hyperborean age, and we are looking at the modern era, the first half of the 20th century. And so we start with the Thurian age and with the Picts, and the character of Brule of the Picts. And just looking at the initial pages and the initial panels and the Picts depicted, pun not intended, it reminds me very much, and this is obvious, right? We are talking about basically what is Celtic people. It reminds me of the other famous barbarian in comic books, which is always fighting for the first place in my heart, and that's Slonje, created by Pat Mills, and very famously illustrated by many artists, but mainly by my favorite, my beloved, the King, the Grandmaster, Simon Bisley. But that's just what it reminded me of. we are encountering him and his shaman at the beginning of the comic book. We have to take everything with a grain of salt because this is fantasy after all. Please, I always dislike when people are reading fantasy stories, whether it be about barbarians, wizards, or like wanderers or different fantasy races, and they are trying to find any connections with the real world and say, oh, at this age, people didn't have that. Yes, they didn't in the real world, but in fantasy world, it's very much possible, right? So we see him and his shaman preparing for venture into the keep of King Kull. And the shaman reveals to him that the events played out tonight will resonate throughout history and time. And he shows him the other two characters that will be appearing in the book, and that's Conan the Barbarian, obviously, and Professor John Kirwan, who is also a very famous Robert E. Howard character. There was actually Robert E. Howard's contribution into H.P. Lovecraft's Cthulhu mythos, if I'm not wrong. And so there is this inevitable connection between Robert E. Howard and H.P. Lovecraft, but we will get into that. I'm just going to say in advance, I will not reveal any spoilers. So I'm just going to outline the story very briefly and then cut it off. This is a brand new issue. I want you to enjoy it for yourselves. And so we do look at these three individual characters, Brule, Conan, and John Kirwan, and their venture into the adventure, right? So Brule is trying to kind of save, quote unquote, King Kull, and Conan the Barbarian himself. We see him at the very beginning of his career. It's a very young Conan, the thief, right? We have got many, not versions of Conan, but Conan has been many a thing throughout the ages and throughout his life. The warrior, the king, the gladiator, the thief, so on and so forth. So here we see Conan the thief trying to steal, I think it was a goblet of some sort. And it wouldn't be a Conan story without him getting into trouble. But all of it is also connected with Professor John Kirwan, and this takes place in 1934. And they are dealing with a dagger that is an ancient relic, but it awakens in one of the characters some sort of feeling of strange and dangerous deja vu, but also does something very vile to another character that is off screen at the moment, but will appear later in the book. And all those three storylines and the characters are connected in a way. But I will leave it to you to discover. One thing that I just have to point out, and it made me smile, is that I don't know if it's just me or if it was intentional on the part of the artist, which, by the way, the art is very good. I do enjoy this kind of art. When it is apparent that at least a part of it, and from what I can see right now, a huge chunk of it was done with classic pen on paper. This being said, I've got nothing against digital illustration. Of course, I have read my share of comic books that were exclusively drawn digitally. Of course, everything's colored digitally these days and lettered. But as far as the drawing and the inks, I mean, when it's done by hand, you can tell, and I always appreciate it, the good old way. So, I don't know if it's just me or if it was intentional, but the character of John Kirwan, he looks like Peter Cushing. Especially this panel here. It's just, I don't know, I see Peter Cushing there. It's the nose, the eyes, the jaw, even the hair. Although he's got much better hairline than Peter Cushing did. So this made me a little bit happy right there. I wanted to say more, I wanted to talk more about the story, but then I said to myself, it's a brand new issue and people will read it and I want them to enjoy it for themselves. Everything I will say now is that just go and get it, man. It's 100% worth it. You don't even have to know anything about the characters. You don't even have to have read the previous issues of the other titles, like Conan the Barbarian or the Savage Sword of Conan. If you just get this, you will get a fantastic fantasy story, which some people, and it's even called anthology, but I don't know if we should call it anthology in the first place, when all the 3 stories are a part of one story anyway, because they are interconnected and intertwined. But that's apparent from the very beginning. It's not even a spoiler. So let me know in the comments down below what you think. But first, go and read the comic. I mean, go get it, buy it, read it, come back, tell me. Right. 100% recommend. Once again, thanks, Jim's Up and Titan Comics. And the wheel. Thank you very much for watching. And I'm out of here.